Hello and welcome to Awards Buzz. I'm Abe Friedtanzer.
I am Latasha Ford. Hi, everyone.
Everyone, I'm Rasha Goel.
I'm Sari Cohen.
I'm Scott Menzel.
And I'm Shadan Larki.
We are so thrilled to be here in many different time zones on Oscar nominations morning. We are a little later than everyone else just because we needed a little bit of rest, but we're very excited to process these nominations. Overall, not a huge shock, everything total, but I would love to hear from each of you what is the biggest surprise that you saw when you listened to, watched, or read the nominations today?
I am going to jump right in. Not that it was a big surprise, but Sinners with 16 nominations, beating out what we were just talking about was All About Eve, La La Land, and what was the other one?
A
Uh,
small film called Titanic.
okay, at 14. So congratulations to Sinners. And also the deal that Ryan made, the deal that he made on this movie, the is phenomenal. Is like I think it's going to be a blueprint for the way that things are done in the future, especially with the way that streaming is going. I just congratulations to all of them. I think that was very exciting to wake up to that today.
I'm just
I'm going to
oh,
piggyback. Go for it, Rasha.
no, I have more to say later, but I just want to add to Sinners real quick. I was excited to see Autumn Durald, Pow, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right, for Sinners, her first nomination, but to really just see her for Best Cinematography amongst the list of people and the caliber of people that are there. I mean, it's a huge win for that team and for her and for this female cinematographer.
I love that we are on the Sinners train because I literally fell out of my bed when I heard Delroy Lindo name call. I'm like, OMG, OMG. I am so thrilled, so excited that he got nominated. I also feel like he was one of those individuals that a lot of people did not have their eyes open to and ears open to. So I love when stuff like that happens. I am obsessed with Ethan Hawke in general in his decades and decades of like impeccable work. So seeing him like in the category for Blue Moon was no surprise, but it also kind of hyped me up at 5:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
I have to say that the Sinner's love is so well deserved and earned. And I think this really, I told Ryan this a couple of weeks ago when I saw him, like, this is boosting him up to the James Cameron, Christopher Nolan level in terms of director status. And he is such a visionary filmmaker. And Sinners is so impressive. And I couldn't be happier for everyone involved in that film for this movie to be getting as much love as it's getting. And I mean, I'm sure I'm not alone in this chat. We can get to it later, but I am really hoping that there's a world where it actually beats one battle for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Let me also just like backtrack a little bit on Ryan Coogler's deal, because I'm reading it right now, how groundbreaking it is. It grants him ownership of the film rights after 25 years, alongside first dollar gross participation, earning immediately from ticket sales and final cut, allowing him to control the creative vision and reap long-term financial benefits.
That's
Um,
huge.
so this is like he has changed the game in more ways than one. I think a lot of directors are gonna follow suit with this. I mean, he is a visionary. I mean, congratulations, kudos to them. Also, jumping ahead on another groundbreaking thing, I believe we did all just receive this email that I'm gonna go over. Focus Features earned three separate nominations for Best Actress in the Leading Role: Jessie Buckley, Emma Stone, and Kate Hudson. With these nominations, Focus becomes the first studio in the modern era to land three Best Actress noms in the same year. So there's there's a lot of groundbreaking things going on today.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more happy for Focus. I mean, Focus, this is always a stat that's kind of crazy whenever is said out loud, and people never go like, "Is that right?" And it is. Focus Features has never won Best Picture, which is wild to me. Um, is like wild with the track record of movies that they have. It's just like, how has this never happened? And obviously, the buzz on Hamnet has been very, very strong. It's been strong since Telluride, where the film premiered. And I think, I don't know. This is really a three-legged race. I think we all kind of would agree with this between Sinners, One Battle, and Hamnet. And it'll be very interesting to see how the next month plays out.
Although I will say the secret agent, that one shocked me. I mean, Wagner Mora, like he's kind of on an uptick right now. I was shocked with his win at the Globes, and to see it in the Best Picture category today. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Like, could there be a surprise there with that?
I think he could certainly win. I think Marty Supreme, despite getting a director nomination today, which was not at all guaranteed, did not overperform. Marty Supreme did pretty well, but unlike when some of us first saw it, it is not a threat to win Best Picture. But the very well could win Best Actor, but it is not a done deal. That is a very competitive category. The Secret Agent is weird because it sort of surged way past it was just an accident, which did not have a great day today. No Other Choice, which got nothing.
Nothing.
And Sentimental Value rebounded in a big way. And I was very nervous. I kept playing my pictures. I actually had Guillermo del Toro in instead of Josh Safdie, but I also just said that Joachim Trier would be the only international nominee, and that was correct. But it didn't look like that for a while because I know some people thought it would just be Jafar Panahi or that it would be Kleber Mendoza Filho for Secret Agent, which, like I'm Still Here last year, did very well, but still didn't get a Best Director nomination, which is so interesting because it was a great day for Neon. They got 4 out of 5 Best International Features, which, while not all 5, is still pretty damn good. And so it's definitely a good year for international film, but it's interesting to see how certain things, especially No Other Choice, which has such tremendous international support people love, and The Secret Agent sort of was like this small little thing that I think might still win Best International Feature, even though it has half the number of nominations as Sentimental Value. I always point to this Lives of Others beating Pan's Labyrinth back in 2006 when Pan's Labyrinth won 3 other competitive categories, and The Lives of Others had no other nominations. So I think it's important to think about that. And The Secret Agent to be really, really quietly surging, which is an interesting phenomenon to behold.
I was
Story.
speaking of Sentimental Value. Sorry, I was happy to see Elle Fanning in that race as
I
well.
was gonna say she was the first nominee that they called of the entire announcement, and I wasn't predicting her, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm in so much trouble." I rebounded and ended up doing pretty well. I'm proud of myself, but that was sort of the first big surprise. But I wanted to say, I mean, obviously the story of Oscar nominations morning of this whole year has been Sinners, and deservingly so. I think the B plot is that this is the best year for international film. I was so happy to see the voice of Hin Rajab get in there. I think that casting nomination for The Secret Agent is so inspiring. I know, and just to plug all of our work, like many of us have interviews with these nominees. So it's just a really great morning for a lot of really, really talented people.
I want to jump in on animated really quick too, because I was thrilled to see Little Amelie or the character of Rain. I don't know, that film was so special. Of course, I think K-pop Demon Hunters was expected, along with Zootopia too. But I think just to see that film also made its way into the Oscars was a little surprising, but a happy surprise for me because I wasn't sure how voters were going to skew on that one. And I think it's been a great year for anime, right? And that type of art form that's being expressed and people really recognizing that in the animated category. So I'm excited to see how that category is going to fare out when we get closer to the Oscars.
Rasha, I
I thought
love that
Demon
you brought
Slayer
up.
might get nominated. Yeah, sorry, go ahead,
I was
Latasha.
What
just
do you think,
saying,
Tasha?
No, I say I love that you brought up the animated category because I'm also very interested to see how that one goes as well. Like I'm a Zootopia person, but I do feel like K-pop, is kind of nailed in with the Oscar at the end of the day. But I'm interested to see how everything kind of flows and goes.
Yeah,
What were
because
you?
all five of these are very different stories.
Yeah,
I mean, even the animation style and the character, like they're very different and unique, I think, in their own entity. So that's why I'm interested in seeing how it's going to play out. Golden, I think, I don't know. I feel like that song is still going to lead. But again, we never know. But it's done very, very well for them so far in the awards circuit.
We have had a competitive animated race the past couple of years where the sort of unassuming contender has won. I think this is like a 2003 situation when I predicted the triplets of Belleville to beat Finding Nemo, which was incredibly wrong. I think K-pop has won already. I think even if one battle after another hasn't won Best Picture, that those two categories, K-pop should just take home trophies already. I don't think there's much that's going to happen there because I don't think there's anything going against them. I think everyone's like, "Oh, I've heard this too many times. It's so good." Like this, I don't think people there's any backlash that would happen there. And while I thought Demon Slayer might get in, the fact that it didn't also means there's no Demon Confusion, which obviously those are two radically different. Like one of them is rated R for strong, bloody, beheadings and stuff, and that is not this one. So but I did get 5 out of 5 on animated feature. I think 2 years in a row now. It was not my only 5 out of 5 category, which I didn't realize. But In Your Dreams was another great movie this year that sadly just was Netflix's other horse. And so I'd like to just honor that. I also, Scott used the phrase couldn't be happier before, which makes me think of a team that could be happier, and that is the Wicked for Good people. I
Mm,
didn't realize until after the nominations because it looked like once Ariana Grande in the first category wasn't nominated,
yeah,
I think the only things I was predicting were visual effects, production design, costume design. Visual effects was not a sure thing. That's a competitive category, even though we got some surprising nominees we could talk about there. But to not get in production design, costume design, it feels like Squid Game season 2 at the Emmys, just to get shut out after doing
yeah,
so strongly. And obviously, aside from our friend Scott here, most did not think it was as good as the first one. But I didn't expect that
No.
technical backlash at all.
No. No.
I mean, I have a lot to say on this topic. I mean, I think the whole part of releasing this movie a year later was a massive mistake. I mean, there's a lot of argument that says that it should have been one movie. I mean, I can see that argument, but I think there was a world where they could have done the two movies and they could have released them in a similar time frame, and then people would have been able to actually judge them as a whole. Going back, and I kicked myself, and I texted Abe about this earlier. I kicked myself because everyone who was on the stream last year remembers I was like the big Wicked fan, but I was also saying part one, if it was going to get anything, it was going to be part one. It was not going to be part two. I always said part two is the weaker element of the stage play. Everyone knows this. So I think like I let my judgment kind of go by my own like love for the film, but also I just kept hearing like a lot of rumblings. Like there seemed like there was like this underlying support for the film a little bit, but clearly they were like, no, no, no way in hell we're doing this for anyone. And I do think that there's a world where Wicked Part One came out on Thanksgiving in last year in 2024. And then in Christmas Day, Wicked Part 2 came out. And I think that you would have seen a much different reaction overall. I think that the universal release strategy really, really hurt this movie.
yeah.
I'm so sad. I mean, we were talking about it last year. It was like if I mean, we all thought for sure before the movie even came out, we were like, Wicked has it. This is it. This is the year for Wicked. And it was knowing what happened to it last year during award season, it was like there was no way that it was going to be able to beat or
Um,
overtake what happened for the first part of it. And then K-pop Demon Hunters, I think, as far as like original songs go, I just it was dead in the water. And I hate to say it because I love John M. Chu so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that man is like he has my heart, so I'm rooting for him with everything that he does. But yeah, I know it was completely shut out. To be
Yeah.
completely shut out was shocking.
To go from winning Oscar for costume design to not even being included. I
Nice.
mean, that is wild.
Yeah. It is.
Wild.
I know the Wicked fans are heartbroken. And my heart breaks for Ariana Grande. It really does. But, I too have to say I wasn't very surprised to not see, Wicked for good in any of the categories this
Mm.
I
round.
think a lot of us were, like Abe mentioned earlier, too, especially on the production design and costumes. I really thought that we would see something there. I want to, if we're okay, I'd love to talk about visual effects. Any
Mm.
surprises for you all there? Because I was a little surprised with Jurassic World Rebirth. I know, I mean, I know they put a lot into that film, but I was not expecting to hear this one, and I don't know if it's because it's been a while. But we had
Yeah,
Sinners, The Lost Bus, Jurassic World Rebirth. F1 I was expecting, Avatar, Fire and Ash I was expecting.
this is the first time since The Lost World Jurassic Park in 1997 that any Jurassic Park movie has been nominated here. They've always been shortlisted, but that's very surprising to me. I honestly don't think I've watched any of the ones in the middle, so I watched this just to make sure that I had seen everything. I didn't also realize Superman wasn't here. I only looked at that after and thought about it. So I think The Lost Bus is a very cool nominee. It reminds me of something like 1917, where you don't think about it all being visual effects, but it is so visual effects heavy. And I think that's nice. It's also really nice that Sinners is here because Black Panther made all this history and famously was not even nominated for visual effects. So it's nice to see a genre film that really each piece of its genre, which I mean that movie's got some cool effects, that everything is celebrated there. Obviously, Avatar has already won, but it's still cool to see some other films in here.
Yeah, I was happy to see F1 in this category. That was actually one of my absolute favorite films of 2025, just in general. But I think ultimately this particular category is going to come down to Avatar and Sinners. I do feel like it will. What are your thoughts on it? Do you guys feel like it's going to be like a
Well,
battle
I
between
have a
those
question
two?
Totally agree
in
with you.
general, which is like, how many of you were predicting that F1 would actually get into picture? Because I saw it on a couple of different lists and I was like, that's not happening. And obviously I was very wrong. Were any of you predicting that?
I think you know what it is that I think we all the lesson that I've learned year after year, and I keep second guessing myself, is stop second guessing myself.
Mm.
Because like when Abe and I went to see F1, we were in a theater with like a lot of directors and like people really responded to it. And if you actually again, we I think we sort of like go like critical vibe and stuff like that, but the filmmakers loved it. And again, I like part of me was like, it should be in there. It's probably going to be like the 10 slot. And I took it out. I took it out.
Did
And
you really, Scott? You took F1 out, huh? Interesting.
yeah,
I figured it was going to be in there because of the 10 slots. If there had been only five, I would have been maybe iffy if it would make it just based on the other contenders. I definitely knew it was going to be in there for visual effects. I thought it was very, very well done that way. I'm not sure if it would have been on my best picture either. So I'm with Scott on that one as well.
I did not have it in. It was probably my 11th or 12th. I had it was just an accident in there, and I think those could not be more different films. I guess both of them involve cars to a degree, or vehicles. But that was like Drive My Car and Fast and the Furious. They're similar in some ways. So I'm not surprised it got in. I mean, it's up for best visual effects, sound, film editing, and best picture. And so I don't think we can argue with most of those nominations. I think that makes a lot of sense. It certainly is fun. It certainly is entertainment. Again, which it was just an accident, could not be more different. So it's just intriguing. That said, I never believe that any one film takes another film's slot like that, but obviously it got more votes. If you compare it with something like the pacing of The Secret Agent or the tone of Bugonia, like it is definitely the light choice among everything else. But I had a lot of fun. I raced across town for a screening of Elio right after that, which was an unexpected double feature that no one else did, but fun memories.
But let me ask you guys, like with F1, because they scored 4 nominations today, which made my heart light up. But like, are you guys surprised with the fact that they landed 4 today in general? And did you know? Okay.
I'm not because
No.
of the buzz of it, the way that I hear people talking about it, especially regardless of my own feelings. I hear the way I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about it. So the fact that it's earned 4 nominations, I'm not surprised at all. I was happy to see it on there.
I'm not surprised either because I think after attending a couple of the screenings and the Q&As and just hearing what they had to go through to make this film, I mean, when you think about sound
Yeah.
and visual effects, it is a little complicated. It wasn't an easy film to by any means put together. So I'm not surprised, especially in the categories that they've been nominated for. I'm excited to see again how it's going to do with the other contenders, but I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
And like Sarah, you same thing. I haven't really heard anything bad, right? Sometimes you hear bad things about films or just mixed reviews. No one's really said anything against the film.
People
Yeah, I
really,
think everyone has just said it's been okay. Like anyone who does, like
Yeah.
it's no one like, oh, I hated that. It's just like, it was fine.
yeah. I don't know exactly what it would win. I don't know if it's gonna
Editing is probably the only thing
right.
I would think.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you can't, I've never heard anybody say, I don't really care for that movie. So yeah, the positive reviews have me hopeful.
How are we feeling about the Best Actress category? Any surprises there for any of you all?
I'm
Okay.
not very surprised. I'm a little surprised that Chase Infinity was the one who didn't make it because for
Yeah.
both One Battle After Another and Frankenstein to underperform with 13 and 9 nominations is sort of crazy, given that that's a lot of nominations. But I think ultimately Chase Infinity is the least well known of anybody in
Yeah.
that cast. Emma Stone, Bugonia had this weird like static power throughout the entire season that like it never really did much, and then like still got a few nominations, including Best Picture.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just glad Rose Byrne was able to get in on her own without any support throughout the entire season for anything else about her movie because that is a big deal. And in the past, someone like Timothy Chalamet, before he was more famous, Beautiful Boy, he got snubbed because nobody was talking about the movie. And so to have both songs on Blue and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You get in there with 3 other movies where Emma Stone is just such a powerhouse in herself. Renata Rente, Sentimental Value, completely rebounded from SAG. And then our winner, Jessie Buckley,
Yeah.
is still here for a film that also, to some degrees, had some underperforming, but luckily did not result in any disastrous snubs besides our friend Paul Mescal, who was he ever a supporting actor? A good
Well,
question.
can I
Wait,
jump in? Yeah, go ahead, Terry, because I have a
oh,
lot of opinions, so I'll
I
let
was
you
gonna say, okay, Hamnet is my favorite movie of the year. I will say it again and again and again. That movie absolutely stole my heart. I think Jessie Buckley is a goddess. I will praise her over and over and over again. I think in this category, it does worry me a little bit. Not that I love Rose Byrne as well, but I do think it's kind of a neck and neck race between Rose Byrne and Jessie Buckley. And while I would personally, because I love Jessie Buckley, would love to see her win. I mean, not that I don't love Rose Byrne, but I could see that being an upset. I could see Rose Byrne walking away with this. Um, oof, yeah.
I have
I
a feeling Jesse's going to lead. I mean, I
yeah,
think we've got some great women in this category, but just having watched the trajectory of the award circuit and just the way the film's been doing and she's been doing, I have a feeling that she's probably still leading. Again, there's always surprises, right, that come about. So
yeah,
it'll be fun. But I'm with Jessie, and I have a feeling she's one of the top actually in this category. And
yeah.
I do feel bad that Chase didn't make it because I was expecting her. I
yeah,
was expecting Chase Infinity to be on the list.
A
yeah.
couple points that I want to make about Best Actress real quick because the Kate Hudson thing I totally should have seen coming. When I made the trek to LA to hang out with you guys for the Astros and I was drinking my $21 Air One smoothie, there were billboards for Kate Hudson everywhere. yes, she peaked late, but she peaked at exactly the right time and she had enough friends in the industry. Like, remember, it doesn't actually take that many ballot votes to get a nomination. So if you just have, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 of your friends texting everybody at exactly the right time, she got in. And so yeah, every like non-LA person that I know is completely surprised and I'm like I the writing was on the wall on that one. In terms of Chase Infinity, I think what happened is that she may have split her own vote. I think some people put her in supporting, and that may have been just enough to push her out. And I think if she maybe had stayed in supporting, she would have had a better shot at getting in. I think possibly the same thing may have happened with Paul Mescal. Maybe a couple people put him in lead, and he split his vote. Ariana, I don't know because Wicked didn't get anything, but there were a lot of people also saying that some people had put her in lead. So I think the category confusion really knocked some people out. Given how strong Hamnet is, I think Jesse is safe, but this category really, I think, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, kind of got shaken up, I should say, in the last minute.
I'm gonna like make a bold statement here because as much as I love Paul Mescal, I think Jesse Buckley totally outperformed him
Oh,
in this
absolutely.
film. I mean, I loved everybody in this film. They were every aspect of this film is equally as good. I mean, from the costumes to the set design to the casting, I mean, I cannot say enough wonderful things about this film, but it's amazing to see an actor like Paul Mescal, who is a genius actor, playing against Jesse Buckley. And you just can't take your eyes off Jesse Buckley. So that to me, I'm just like, as much as I do appreciate everybody else's performances, I mean, it's where my heart is.
I think Emma Stone in the Best Actress category is going to surprise a lot of people. I do. And I think I'm going to stay locked in on that. I think that Emma Stone is going to surprise a lot of people. I was very excited to see Rose Byrne in that category. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time. But yeah, I think Emma Stone, she's going to surprise a lot of people.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to take a moment to pour one out, as we've done before Shadan and others, for the Testament of Anne Lee. I was saying to someone last night that despite its omission from every single shortlist, it could still get nominated for picture, director, actress, screenplay, editing, costume design, production design. And they even had Lewis Pullman announce the nominations. It didn't say, buddy, we forgot to nominate your film in any category. But especially after having The Brutalist last year, a lot of the same people involved to get absolutely nothing. And I'm somebody who likes Testament of Family even more than The Brutalist. And I'm still thinking about like that scene on the ship that I think is the scene of the year, beating out the last scene of Hamnet and the like music scene from Sinners. Like that is still my number one scene of the year. And I just don't really understand. I'm not saying I have any problem with things that did get nominated, but to have nothing for there when I literally like couldn't sleep in the middle of the night and was playing one of the songs from Testament and Lee like in my head. I don't understand what happened. I think it was unusual in some ways, but not unusual enough to have completely this complete shutout, especially since Searchlight Rental Family didn't get anything. Is this thing on it? Like they had nothing this year, and they're all good movies, you know?
You know, Abe, I don't think they had enough buzz around
I
it.
was
Like,
just going to say that the
yeah,
campaigning
like
around
if
it.
you look at Song Sung Blue, right? Like Kate Hudson and oh my God, what's his face?
Hugh Jackman.
Thank you, Hugh Jackman. I mean, they were all over the place.
He's just trying to get it up there. Yeah.
They were singing in karaoke bars in New York. I mean, they were everywhere. They were, and I just don't think they did enough. There was just not enough boots on the ground, I think,
And again,
for
not to get too inside baseball, but my theory on that is that some films just don't play as well on screener. Like you don't need to go see Song Sung Blue in a theater. It's gonna do fine. But like with the Testament of Anne Lee, you need to see it in a theater. And when you're watching it at your house on your computer, it just doesn't hit the same way. And I think a lot of films were really hurt by that. Not a great year for Searchlight, unfortunately. Not a great year for Mubi after the success of The Substance last year. Their films really didn't take off at all. So I think what we're seeing year after year, speaking of like lessons that you've learned, Scott, the lesson that I've learned is that the Academy does not spread the wealth anymore. I had Sinners in for 14 nominations and I was like, that's too many, and it got 16. They're really clustering around. We saw this last year and the year before. We don't see as many like lone nominations as we used to. So that's like I think what's sort of shifting. And that, these smaller films are getting pushed out as a result.
Well, what's interesting about Anne Lee, and then we can move on to a different film, but it's weird because I would say some of the international titles are very inaccessible. Like I think a lot of people admittedly struggle to watch Secret Agent. I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook and Twitter about how they struggle to watch that movie. But because it's international, I feel like we're seeing this now, this growing push, not just in the Globes. We've started seeing that in the Globes where there's more of an international push, but we're also seeing that in the Academy. I'm Still Here was a good example of that. Um, However, when it comes to inaccessibility with American films, which I think was the biggest hurdle that Testament of Anne Lee had, I mean, I'm with Abe. I watched that movie, and there's aspects of that movie where I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. How they do this for $10 million? The budget on that movie. I mean, Amanda Seyfried in that film is phenomenal. There's so many great elements of the movie, but like when you watch that movie and it kind of comes to a close, I said this the moment I walked out of it. I'm like, who is this movie for? And I think that's the problem. And international, what's great about it is that you're starting to see countries get behind those movies, right? Brazil was behind Secret Agent. They were pushing it out. They were behind, I'm Still Here. People are really getting behind these movies. And I think when you have American films, there's so much of the space is dominated by American movies that unless it's something that's everyone can kind of admit that they enjoy it and goes down easy, it's not getting in anymore. And also for blockbusters, I feel like that day there used to be a period of time where like blockbusters were always guaranteed parts of this award season, but now they have to be more almost elevated blockbusters, right? They need to be the Oppenheimers, something that have like really depth to them, a lot of depth to them. So it's interesting how it's changing. I almost feel like they're really starting to alienate average viewers of movies with the Academy and Golden Globes and all these things. I don't know how we incorporate some regular things into the mix. I mean, Sinners is obviously a great addition this year, and F1 getting in is a great addition. But other than that, I don't know if any of those other movies really kind of ring true to anyone who's outside of our bubble.
Agreed. Like films like Begonia, for example, commercially, how did that fare commercially? As
Not well. Hamnet did not fare well
Great
in
Hamnet,
box
Train
office.
Dreams,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm happy for Train Dreams. I think I was
Oh,
worried
me
when Joel
too.
Edgerton was sort of out of the race for Best Actor, but I think it did pretty well. It's nice after the Sing Sing campaign, which was pretty miserable and didn't lead very far. I think it's really nice to see at least the Best Picture nomination. That's really great. It's really was a little film that again didn't explode with nominations. When we're talking about the nominations count, I remember in 2019 when I think it was 4 or 5 films had double-digit nominations, and so even though both Sinners and One Battle Left No did so well. After that, it's just 9 or lower. And so that's interesting just to see that the wealth was spread a little bit more, even if it doesn't feel like it, because every category we hear the same names being said. But it's also just interesting. Again, Frankenstein didn't get in for Best Director, didn't get in for Best Visual Effects. No acting aside from Jacob Elordi, which is not a surprise, even though I never thought Jacob Elordi was going to go this far. And I still think that Best Supporting, I think Best Actress is locked, despite some feelings others have said. That's how I believe. I think everything else, the other 3 acting categories, are all in play. It took me a minute actually to realize that Paul Mescal was the one who was left off. I was like, wait a minute, this is the easiest category. Who's not here? But I think the only true shocker of the nominees is Delroy Lindo, which actually speaks very much to something like Belfast, when Katrina Balfe was nominated for a bunch of
Yeah.
precursors, then Judi Dench got in instead. I think Miles Caton getting the SAG nomination is really great. Lots of years for Miles to do great things. I don't think it's a disappointment. I think there's plenty of career and future, and also I believe a nomination for Best Original Song. I think he's on that
Yes,
possibly.
he is. He
Right.
is.
So
He is.
he is an Oscar nominee. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And Delroy, getting it is just really nice because he's someone who's worked so hard and like what a fun role in a movie that is very fun. Wunmi Masaku, which I did not think was going to happen. Very, very excited about that one. Again, for a movie that did so well, it's still like things weren't so sure. I was worried that Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler were going to get snubbed, which is foolish. But I'm so happy that that was foolish and didn't come to play.
Yeah.
And I
I
want to give
think
oh, go ahead, Scott.
go. Oh, I was just gonna say the other movie that um, we always talk about this, like kind of the momentum. So real quick about Jacob Elordi, I'm not really too surprised by that. I mean, he worked it. I mean, this is the thing. Like, people have to understand that there is a benefit to coming out to screenings, shaking hands, kissing babies, like all this
Yeah.
stuff plays such a viable factor in campaigning. And you can say that with, Siri pointed out with Kate Hudson. Like, she was everywhere, going to karaoke bars, pushing her out. They had her on the news all over the place. That's what it takes. That's why I'm actually really surprised in some way that sentimental value actually rebounded the way that it did, because those people were not really anywhere to be seen besides Elle. Elle was available. She was out doing things. But I feel like the rest of them, like Stellan, barely did anything. But I
Dylan
think
Stillin had some good memes going around, though. I will say
that
he had some very funny viral moments going around that really kind of made him very likable with the younger crowd. There was, did you see the one with him and the eating with the
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
But I also have to
Yeah.
add to like the Ann Lee of it all, like Sorry Baby, right? Because I think Siri, you really like Sorry Baby. I really like Sorry Baby. I know Abe likes Sorry Baby. I think everyone, we all kind of liked it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Again, it's these American films. It's sort of like, how many of them can you pull from?
I
Yeah.
I thought that a shout out from Julia Roberts the night before voting started would have been like the clincher
Me
just for
too.
screenplay, not for actress, not for picture, not for anything else, just for screenplay.
Yeah.
But I guess, because that at Sundance last year, people were saying it's going to win Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director. And I was like, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I do think it will be strongly received. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's another case, though, of a distributor that's a little bit too busy with a lot of titles. And it's hard to find the right one. And even though they had a pretty good day, it's just, there's too much out there.
Yeah.
Do you all
Yeah.
think the team of Jay Kelly was disappointed at all?
So Jay
Yeah.
Kelly and Wicked for Good were both Critics' Choice nominees for Best Picture. And
Yeah.
so I don't really know what went wrong with Jay Kelly because it's a movie about movies. George Clooney, who it's hard not to
Okay.
like, Adam Sandler. I don't really know what happened there. Why? I mean, Netflix overall, aside from, Frankenstein and some documentaries, I mean, they Wake Up Dead Man, both the first two Knives Out
Oh,
movies were nominated for
yeah.
adapted screenplay. The fact that it was
Here's
never really in the race, when I think it's actually the best reviewed of the three, is just sort of strange.
Here's what I think would happen with Jay Kelly was that you had too much talent vying for the spotlight. You just there were just too many talented people in main roles that it was really hard to follow. At least for me watching it, it was really hard to follow the story. I was like, who am I supposed to be watching? Whose story is more important? Who's the main focus? Who's this? And I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle of just like you just had too much talent at the top. I that's my feeling about Jay Kelly. It was a great movie. Everybody did a wonderful job, but I think it was just too much to choose from.
See, I personally enjoyed Jay Kelly. I thought it was a great movie. It was a fun movie to watch. But if I look at it from an awards perspective in comparison to some of the other films that are up there, I'm not sure if it fared, against some of those other storylines as a stronger storyline. I love George Clooney. I think he's great. I always support his work. But then if I compare him to Michael B. Jordan's work in Sinners, I mean, yes, completely two different characters, but then you look at the caliber of the work of who is George Clooney playing, right? So I don't know. I think in that sense, like I said, I enjoyed the film. I don't know if it would pick up on so many of the award categories when you compare some of the other works that are out there. But I'm sure that Adam Sandler not being nominated could possibly be a hit for them.
Yeah, two things about Jay Kelly real quick. The problem with Jay Kelly is that it's basically the same plot as Sentimental Value, and Sentimental Value is better. And I think Netflix was just spread too thin this year.
I think
Which brings me shockingly to the category that I did worst in, which was documentary feature. I got two of the five. I did a better job predicting the short documentary subject category than I did the um, actual documentary category, but very happy to see the Alabama solution in there. That really shocked me. Does anyone have any opinions about documentary? Did you do better than me?
I
Yeah, let me.
also got 2 out of 5. I will say that I don't think Mr. Nobody Against Putin was here last year, but 4 out of 5 of the nominees were at Sundance last year, which makes me think I should be seeing more documentaries this week because there's obviously a lot of really great stuff here. 2000 meters to Andrivka. I That was my number one. I thought that was going to get in. Apocalypse in the Tropics, another amazing film about Brazil. I thought was definitely going to get in. And My Undesirable Friends, which I still couldn't understand how it was competing because it is 5.5 hours. And I thought after the O.J. Simpson movie, one, they changed the rules, but I guess somehow, even though my screener was in 5 parts that like have credits to them, and so it is by definition a multi-part series. I don't know how it was eligible, but otherwise, I just had The Perfect Neighbor and Mr. Nobody Against Putin. And so I'm a little surprised. Come See Me in the Good Light was shortlisted for Best Song, so that's not a shocker that got some attention. I think The Alabama Solution is a very, important film. And when we're talking about like important American films, that's definitely a worthwhile one. Cutting Through Rocks is a bit of a nice surprise. That's one that I saw at Sundance last year. It's just, it's, I think it is very relevant today, but it's also a little bit surprising. I think that like of these five, that's definitely the most surprising one to get in for me.
But no cover up. Like, that's interesting.
I it's so when you have the short list, it's like the bigger it is, the crazier it is, the number of things that are going to get snubbed. I always think that's pretty shocking. I don't know if anyone has any other feel as a documentary feature. I have some shorts things, but I don't want to cut anyone off if we have more documentary contributions from the rest of the team that will seek these movies out one now that they're nominated, and we'll talk about it which is a great thing to do. I personally was very gung ho. I was like, I'm going to see everything, and I'm ready today. I've seen everything that's nominated. I'm very happy about that. Last year, I watched the Elton John documentary right before our Zoom, but I this year watched Viva Verdi ahead of time just to prepare for such a scenario as a Best Original Song nomination. It's pretty endearing. My distinction in these shorts categories is that my first choice in all three did not get nominated. I got 2 to 3 in each category, but I have always contended, and this year is no different. If you watch the shorts, your predictions will be worse. If you actually watch the stuff on the list, you're going to do less well. Why don't you kick us off, Shadan, with one of the
Well,
shorts categories?
Abe, okay, you very kindly sent me access to all of the shorts films. Because of I Got Sick and The World Is on Fire, I didn't watch them, and I did a remarkably good job predicting them. So thank you for your effort, but it really does pay off not to watch them and just do a little bit of research and just pick stuff. And it works out well, I guess.
that's hilarious.
Well, I am quite surprised for documentary short that All the Walls Came Down, which is about Andi Timoner, a filmmaker, returning home to the ruins of her house in Altadena. I was very surprised that that didn't get in. That felt like a very um, kind of film exactly that everyone would embrace voters. All the Empty Rooms, which is about the rooms of children who have been killed in school shootings from a previous nominee, Joshua Seftel. That made a lot of sense to me. Children No More, Were in Argonne, which is about Israelis protesting with images of children killed in Gaza, also made some sense. The Devil is Busy was a really immersive thing about abortion providers. Perfectly a Strangeness, I'm very proud of myself because this reminded me of Hale County this evening. It is a documentary about donkeys, and it sort of has a plot, and I thought it was just weird enough to get nominated, and I was right. I'm very pleased. I'm a bit more puzzled about Armed with a Camera, Armed Only with a Camera, The Life and Death of Brent Renault. It is a good film. That is one that I didn't see coming there. I'm also quite surprised on the animated short front not to see Snow Bear because I thought that one was very endearing and I interviewed a bunch of the filmmakers, and that one like went wild. People were commenting how much they loved that one. They were very, very into that one. So that one is a bit of a surprise to not see it there. Um, but I mean, and also Aru, I feel like was very seemed like it was gonna be very popular. I talked to some of our friends from Next Best Picture in the contending, and they're like, "Oh, Aru's in," and I was like, "Okay, you've convinced me," but that was not correct. It is not in, but that is a bit of a surprise. But there's definitely some good stuff to check out here. I would also say for the live action.
Right?
Sorry, go ahead.
You were a big fan of Butcher Stain, right?
Butcher Stain is a very interesting choice. Yeah, about a Arab Israeli working in an Israeli supermarket and has to do with hostage posters. I thought it was a very good film, very interesting. So I'm very happy that one got in.
Yeah,
Rock,
this is
paper,
how much of a
scissors.
psycho I am. Just real quick, this is how much of a psycho I am is because when they announced that nomination, I just immediately thought of you instead of being like, "Oh, cool, a good short film." I was like, "Good for Abe."
Well, along with the snub for 2,000 meters to Andrivka, Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is about Ukraine, and I thought really had a lot of support behind it, was not nominated, which was a bit of a surprise. I am very pleased though for Two People Exchanging Saliva, which is about it's actually probably weirder than it sounds, and definitely darker. And Jane Austen's period drama, which is one of the funnier films I've seen this year. My wife actually enjoyed it even more than I did, so I encourage everyone to seek that out. There's a lot of really cool films on these lists, and we also have a lot of interviews with these directors that we'll be able to share, and more to come. But the shorts are really great and are a nice little hidden gem. So I would encourage everyone to see those out. Before we go back to like the mainstream stuff, I just want to look at the other like standalone category, international feature. And while Sentimental Value far and away has the most nominations, The Secret Agent is the other Best Picture nominee. It was just an accident is up for also for screenplay, which is a huge disappointment that that's its entire haul. Surat is up for sound, but not for score, which is a bit of a surprise. I thought it would be. But I actually think, while I think The Secret Agent will win, I think Sentimental Value could win. It is distinctly possible that The Voice of Hind Rajab could take it away because you have four neon titles, and it's always been a struggle to figure out which one to promote. What are people thinking about the what's going to happen with this category?
Well, to bring it back to Scott's point about like what's going on the ground, yes, it didn't work out for Julia Roberts and Sorry Baby. I was predicting Sorry Baby for that very reason. But the reason why I stuck with the voice of Henry Job, first of all, again, it is not my favorite film of the year. It's difficult to call a film about that subject matter your favorite film, but I think it is the best film. It's playing in more theaters. I know it's in Houston right now, so if it is playing near you, please go see it. It is really, really good. But I know like Spike Lee was pushing for it. There was a lot of big talent that really rallied behind it in the last minute, and I think again, like I need to be do a better job of paying attention to that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the thing that is really, really paying off. Do I think it's gonna win? No. I think it's incredible that it got nominated. Good for them. And just again, I think one sort of overall trend that I noticed this year with the nominations is they really kind of rallied around their veterans a little bit, other than Inga and like Iwumi, like even Elle, you could argue she's been around for a long time. Jacob's been around for a long time. So they really leaned into like who do we know, who's maybe the easiest to rally behind and check off across the board.
It's true. It's
Mhm.
true. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like really a shock. Abe, I have no idea what that movie was that was in the song category. That was the one where I was like, what is this?
Well, I want to just for international feature for a sec, just say these nominees are great, but I would encourage everyone to look at other films on the short list. Homebound, Left-Handed Girl, Belen. There are other movies that like certainly came close. And other
Yeah.
films that didn't even get the short list, like Magellan, which is out now in theaters.
Poet.
Kidnapping Inc., which has been submitted 2 years in a row by Haiti because it was rejected the first year. Great, really interesting film. It's not going to be submitted again. Like this is it. But there's a lot of really good stuff on there, and so I would always encourage, especially after nominations, people to go look at the short lists for short films, for international feature and documentary feature, and see what else is on there because there are some. I mean, Sean Baker was very involved in Left-Handed Girl.
Yep.
Belen again got a lot of stuff. I know Rasha Homebound was that was a sort of a really cool movie. There's a lot
Beautiful
of really good
story.
stuff on there.
And I wanted
So
to
we'll
add to,
definitely.
I think with when we look at these categories like international feature and stuff with the shorts, I know that the campaigning is a huge part of it because having worked with Shorts TV and just seeing all the things that happen behind the scenes, it's very rigorous. And it seems that you may even have some really wonderful pieces out there, some great films, but it all comes down to the campaigning of it and what, these producers and directors and their teams are able to do. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Abe, because there's a lot of great films that are out there, but sometimes they fall short just because of the budgeting or the campaigning, the getting the word out. And there's like I enjoyed Left Handed Girl a lot. Just the way I mean, it was the entire thing was shot on an iPhone for crying out loud. That's pretty impressive that they were able to do that. And being South Asian too, and seeing a story like Homebound too, I think was also very, very well done. To see that it portrays a little bit of reality too that still occurs in India. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. And as far as the category here, I think we're going to be surprised. I really don't know if one is leading over the other with the nominees that we currently have here. Of course, as you mentioned, The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value, again, standing out on their own because of the titles, but I wouldn't be surprised if The Voice of Hind Rajab or even it was just an accident take something away too.
For Surratt, my first thought would have been sentimental value because that was actually at the top of my list, like very, very early on in the season. And then with the momentum of The Secret Agent, I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel like that's gonna be the one. But Surratt, I think has a little bit more, I don't want to say buzz, but just the steam behind it. There's a little
There's
more, yeah, I'm hearing just some stuff about it that I feel like it could be a surprise.
And I will say, like with the nomination announcement this morning, once Sarah was mentioned, like there was a complete uproar in the room. Like they went crazy
Yep.
over that one. So
Yep.
Did you notice that Sinners really, like every time they announced the Sinners thing, the volume was way higher than anything else
Yep.
that was
no,
nominated?
yep.
Notice
Mhm.
that.
I do think that Surratt missing out on a Best Original Score nomination is not a great sign for its chances. I think it is quite unusual for Neon to have so many contenders like this. I wonder if that'll happen again. If it was up to me, the two Neon titles up for Best Picture would be The Life of Chuck and Splitsville, two films that were abandoned entirely in favor of international titles, but I don't run the show. Someday maybe. But I think that those are also, for anyone who has a Neon box set, check out those titles too. Scott, you had asked about Viva Verdi, this year's most unassuming film, which is actually a documentary about a retirement home for musicians in Milan. And it's very endearing. It's just a song from the film. I mean, but I am excited that people will get a chance to check it out now. I think that's sort of nice because otherwise, I mean, for best song, the other nominees I think are pretty. I wouldn't necessarily say mainstream. I will say this is Diane Warren's. I believe it's her 17th
Seven
nomination.
Thunders.
Yeah.
I I think it's cool that it's a documentary about her. I also think this is a pretty good song. And so I'm all for it. I think Golden has won. There's no issue. I think if you're talking about, I mean, yes, Golden is a big part of the film, but I Lied to You from Sinners. I mean, that is, again, like the film's most impactful scene. And so I think this is, with Train Dreams, with that song, this is a pretty cool list of songs, which we don't spend a lot of time talking about, but it's
I
cool.
just want to add for the stats nerds that may be watching or listening or to this, Diane Warren now breaks the record for the most nominations ever without a single win. So,
She's
uh,
the she's the Susan Lucci.
God bless her. And she's out there shaking the hands, kissing the baby. Scott, I don't
She
that
definitely is. Like I love her, and I feel like it's going to be between her and Raphael Sadiq and Luik for Sinners. I do feel like it's going to come down to those two. But yeah, Shadan, she's definitely out there mixing and mingling and networking and connecting with, her fans and everyone that's obsessed with her work.
She's
So
wild. Latasha, have you ever talked to her? Have
I've
you-
definitely, yeah, I've met her before
She
a couple of
is
times.
So much fun. Diane
She
Warren is like, every time I see her, I'm like, I want to go have dinner with you. Let's go have
is.
some drinks. Let's go.
She's all heart.
Open it up.
All
She's
heart.
awesome.
She is very,
She's
very present. She is
awesome.
always out there.
Yep,
And
yep.
From Best
Very
Original
out,
Song.
very
Sorry.
outspoken. No, I was just gonna say very outspoken, and I
Oh yeah.
can't say enough wonderful things about Diane Warren also. And I really always hope for her to win. I really do.
One day.
And
One
sorry,
day it's gonna
I know.
happen.
I hope in this
Right.
lifetime,
not this
hopefully.
year.
The lesson here is that Abe should run the nominees and we should run Diane Warren's awards campaign. Yeah.
I
I
will
just
say,
want to
similar
add
to,
and give a
go
shout
ahead,
out to
Rasha.
Chloe Zhao because, in the past few years too, a lot of the conversation with women filmmakers has also been just women being recognized in some of these categories. And to see her now with another nomination, I think it's huge. And just even having spoken to her and just some of the things that she's gone through personally in her life, and for her to receive an accolade like this, it's huge. And I think it speaks to also the dynamics that are changing and people recognizing the diversity, not just as far as like race and color, but even just for women. Even with Autumn, what a huge deal for Sinners and seeing her in cinematography. It's a big deal.
It's
It's a
such a big deal.
huge
And to go back to Chloe, also, that woman also has my heart. When you hear her speak,
Oh,
she is so authentic and so heartfelt, and everything she does is with such passion and grace and kindness, and she builds these families. Like, when you see filmmakers like that, or anybody in the artistic world who truly has that love and that passion, and that just, you can feel it emanating from them, it's like you want to root for them. So yeah, Rasha, 100%.
and she's
She
personally
is
been
the,
through so much as well too. So I think, but I mean, despite their personal stories, I just think looking at the trajectory too of how we're looking at female filmmakers,
yeah.
or even in costume designing, right? Just women behind the scenes. I think it's really time that the Academy, they've shown that, but I mean, I think there's still more work to be done. But when we look at these nominations this year, I feel really happy about that.
and Autumn is the fourth woman nominated for Best Cinematography ever. And
Mhm.
Chloe is the second woman to be nominated twice for Best Director. The first was Jane Campion, who won on her second try. Chloe won on her first try.
It's incredible.
I still feel strongly, not personal opinion, but of prediction, that one battle after another is going to win Best Picture and Best Director.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that it is possible it won't win much else. We didn't actually talk much about Amy Madigan. Weapons was a film this season that looked like it was on the up and up. It got a Producers Guild nomination. It was on the casting shortlist. I think people thought it might get screenplay or something. And in the end, it's just Best Supporting Actress. And I think for a film like that, it's still a pretty good accomplishment. This is also Amy Madigan's first nomination since 1985, which is pretty exciting. A lot of people are like, who is Amy Madigan? And so I think it's nice that she's getting more energy. Sari?
Just gonna say, Rasha and I met Amy Madigan together for a weapons event, and I was so excited because I remember her from Streets of Fire. I totally just aged myself, but
And I did too, nodding with you.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, Amy Madigan, Streets of Fire. I know we're here for weapons, but Streets of Fire. And she was so, and the just praise that she got for that. But I do think Tiana Taylor, I think this is hers. I think
Uh,
this is
uh,
hers for one battle after another.
Listen, I'm gonna say a controversial statement. I mean, I think her character is terribly written in the movie. I think she's really poorly written. But the passion and the energy that I feel when I see her and that speech at the Globes,
Yeah.
hands down the best speech of the night.
Yeah.
I even though I don't like the performance, I'm kind of rooting for her now. Like I really am, because I'm rooting for the person. I'm rooting for the
Absolutely.
person more than the performance.
Mhm.
I am absolutely, absolutely, absolutely obsessed with her in a very unhealthy way. Tiana, I am obsessed with you in a very unhealthy way. I am rooting for her. This is her season. A lot is coming to her that I feel like is very well overdue. Scott, I do agree with you. I feel like her character definitely could have been written a little better, but the performance and the way that she leaned into the role and pulled like everything that she had like inside of her and poured it into that character. I think if nothing else, that is the passion behind it. That is what has this momentum of hers like on fire. And I hands down feel 2000% confident she's going home with the Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
So
I
I
just
will say a stats thing, which is not a great comparison. Always a good way to present a stat that doesn't actually help or anything. 2011, Viola Davis for The Help was likely going to win Best Actress for this movie that was up for Best Picture, had a lot of other nominations, and lost to Meryl Streep for The Iron Lady. And while these films are not all the same, Weapons and The Iron Lady are a little bit different. I don't think they have some things in common. A bit amount of makeup, maybe that's probably it, an only thing. But I do always wonder about, is it better to be part of a film that is so celebrated, especially because I think Benicio is no longer a front runner or even really a major contender to win Best Supporting Actor. I still think Best Actor is between Wagner and Timothy. I don't think Leo really has a shot. So this
Shall
is the win for that movie. But does it help to be part of this big thing, or does it help to say, we loved Weapons? Here's our chance to vote for Weapons.
yeah.
Best Supporting Actress, that's it. And that's a question I have. I don't know the
I
answer to.
think I actually think Weapons is gonna get snubbed,
I think
sadly.
so too.
I do. I do. I loved Amy Madigan. I think again, like I would absolutely praise her performance in it, but I don't think I don't think this is it for her. Chalamet, on the other hand, since you brought him up, I think he's our guy this year.
It's
I think
this year.
I had Leo as my front runner for a while, but that's all switched now. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're talking about best actor and leading role.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm like upset with you guys or like just Ethan Hawke. Like, are we all like paying attention to what's going now? Listen, I also feel like Ethan Hawke, like this is well overdue as well. I mean, we're talking about Ethan Hawke. Like, do you guys really think there's not a chance that he's going to win for best?
I don't, you know who I think though would be like even a bigger surprise? Wagner Mora.
I don't think
I
it'd be a surprise.
Oh, that
I
would
don't
be,
think it'd
yeah,
be a
that would
surprise.
be a bigger surprise.
I
I
mean,
do feel Ethan did a great job, but then it comes back down to what we were saying earlier of why is it the movies like weapons against one battle after another, right? Who's in that forefront? Who's got more of the campaigning happening? Um, but I definitely do think that Ethan is due, and I do think he did a phenomenal job in this movie. But
yeah.
then why not look at people like Michael B. Jordan as well,
I love that you
Not
mentioned that,
even
who
Rasha.
played two characters? He
And
played
let
two
me and
separate
let
characters.
I love that you said that because I feel like ultimately this category is going to come down to Ethan Hawke or Michael B. Jordan.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
really?
Mm.
I
I'm
feel like
I'm
I'll tell
very
you why Timothy. I felt that Timothy, like we said, maybe not Best Picture, right? But I felt the way Timothy captured this role and played this character was pretty solid.
yeah.
He did a fabulous job. And I think to really step into those shoes and bring out this bizarre character that I didn't always agree with at times. Um, I don't know. I think he really found a way to carry this film and bring this character to life.
I think it's either going to be Timothy or Michael B. Jordan, but I think Wagner Mora would be the surprise, right? Like that would be the mind blowing, like, ah.
Well, if you look at all the films and how they did, Blue Moon got a screenplay nomination, which was not guaranteed or even necessarily expected. I think Clayton Davis from Variety has been predicting Ethan to win all along. He thought the movie get nominated for Best Picture. So like it could have done better, but it did actually better than it should, which is great. I was curious about Marty Supreme versus The Complete Unknown, because last year A Complete Unknown got Best Director, got all this other stuff. Marty Supreme actually did a little better, but it didn't get Odessa Azayan for Best Supporting Actress. And so I actually don't think Marty Supreme is going to win anywhere else except for Best Actor. And so that could be helpful that unlike something like One Battle After Another, where again, Paul Thomas Anderson, even if Sinners won Best Picture, Paul Thomas Anderson is winning Best Director.
Yep.
And so I think we could talk about that in a sec, but I think the fact that this is can only be focused Best Actor on Marty on him, I think is very worthwhile. But I think there's a reason for everything. I think that Sinners is actually likelier to sweep everything than One Battle After Today, and most of the tech with Wicked out of the picture, aside from best visual effects and maybe best sound, it's Frankenstein versus Sinners in
Frankenstein.
every
Yep.
category. And Frankenstein winning doesn't actually help it. Like it's like Dune, you know. It's just it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to win Best Picture. It's not doesn't have a Best Director nomination. But Sinners has a chance to rack up a ton of wins, whereas One Battle After Another, I think, is probably just going to win screenplay, director, picture, maybe supporting actors. And so Michael B. Jordan, much as he's my winner. Like I think he's really, really great. I think all five Best Actor nominees are in play, which is a really cool scenario that we don't actually have in any other category.
Well, let me just ask you, you don't think Hamnet can win Best Picture?
Maybe, but Shadan has been waiting to say a lot of things about this for a while. Why don't you jump in for a second? We'll come back to Best Picture in a sec. And director.
I just wanted to get nerdy about stats real quick because one that I saw that was really interesting is that the past 7 or 8 years, each Best Picture winner has had a lead acting performance also win. So that bodes well for Leo, perhaps. And I think it does matter if your film is the sort of has more nominations. Look at Olivia Colman, look at Emma Stone. Every time we're in these races where we're not sure, the winner always tends to be the person that comes from the film with the more nominations. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I feel like just stats wise, it's better to go with the person in the most film with the most nominations. And then I forgot what was my last. Keep going, and then I'll remember my last point, and then
I was going to say that I think Leo has the least chance to, like, I would say he's in 5 on this slot right now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I can't see him being anywhere but on the bottom at this point.
I'm with you on that, Scott. And I just want to say, I really wish tomorrow was March 15th and the Oscars were taking place tomorrow.
We do have SAG between now and then, so that's an important thing.
Sentimental fuck value, SAG! I can't believe they made us down all sentimental value.
But that's an important thing to think about, the momentum that we have there, because Timothy did win last year at SAG.
Yes.
Losing. But Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent are not nominated at all. So that's just interesting to think about because you have the opportunity for Jacob Elordi probably to win Best Supporting Actor pretty easily. I think there. And then, for Best Actor, with Wagner not being able to get it, I still don't know. I think an international Best Actor winner would be interesting because I feel like it could have happened last year. There's for Best Actress. I don't know what would need to happen there. But again, I think that everybody has a pathway. My favorite piece I ever wrote about the awards race was in 2018, why every single film nominated for Best Picture can't win statistically. Like there is always something, and so statistics are made to be broken and for something to happen. And so to your point thing, the lead acting win going with Best Picture, I still feel One Battle, even after today, One Battle After Another really just missed out, I think, on Best Costume Design. I think that's the only thing. But otherwise, I think, people might have lost me for a sec. You all froze, so I assume I froze.
Yes.
Yeah.
You 100% froze, but we can still hear you, so you're all good.
Well, it's not a recording, so it's fine. We'll see if it came there. I was saying One Battle After Another really just missed out on costume design. And on Chase Infinity. Like it didn't really do poorly. It didn't miss a lot of stuff. 13 nominations is still pretty incredible. So I still think that One Battle After Another is the one to beat. Again, I feel stronger about Paul Thomas Anderson than I do about Best Picture. I feel like Sinners winning. The Golden Globe win for Hamnet doesn't give me that much pause because I feel like for so many years, the Golden Globe winner went on to lose the Oscar. So it's likelier to keep that stat up. But if we had to say right now who's winning Best Picture, I say One Battle After Another. What about the rest of you?
So what's going to be the tell is BAFTA. That's actually going to be the one that's going to let us know right before, because voting is still, I believe, going on during BAFTA, right?
Isn't Hamnet super British and the other two are pretty American? Like they're going to go
Yeah.
for Hamnet, I feel like. And if they
I
don't, then you have your
think
answer.
BAFTA is going to BAFTA is going to let us know who's going to win the Oscars.
So it's interesting because
Counting
in
on
the
it.
best picture category, my top three, the way in which I feel like it is going to flow, Sinners, Begonia, and One Battle After Another. I would not be surprised if Begonia slips in there.
Really?
Sorry,
Not
I'm
gonna.
only laughing because Sari's face was incredible. Like
Oh
I'm
God, I can't wait to like watch the playback of this so I can see her face. I just those are like my top three.
Wow.
Begonia
Yeah.
is great. I mean, I loved it too. I mean, I think that's the best Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I'm gonna just come out and say it. I really do. I think it's the most accessible of his movies. I think it's the most interesting of his movies. He does a lot with a little. It's not like over too much visual effects or stuff. The fisheye lens are still there, which drive me nuts. But in terms of those performances, the two of those going back at it back and forth, that whole movie, my God, is so engaging.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really like that movie. I think it's a real underdog. I was talking to someone on the airplane the other day who's not in the industry, and she, oh my God, did you see Begonia? I love Begonia. So like people who like seen this movie really like it, and that's why I think it's gotten so much love and attention.
I appreciate the enthusiasm in Big Swing. I do not think Begonia is going home with any Oscars. Uh,
I
I also
agree.
would encourage everyone to go see Dogtooth, which was Yorgos' first Oscar nomination for Best International Feature. It's Greek, it is twisted, and it is great. But I appreciate the Big Swing. I think Hamnet missing for Paul today sort of takes it out of contention. I don't think it's a done deal by any stretch, but I think we saw these waves of support where initially everyone was like, Sinners is amazing, but like it's so early in the year, are we going to remember it? And then everyone was like, Hamnet is incredible, but that was like a festival buzz thing that sort of tempered and then came back a little bit later. Whereas One Battle After Another, I contend throughout, I've heard so much. We always in our interviews ask, what do you love? Everybody is so excited about that film and loves that film so much. And I feel like the fact that P.T. Anderson hasn't won a single Oscar, this is the chance to really embrace that. So while I believe that Sinners will probably take home the SAG Ensemble Prize, I don't think that's going to necessarily be consequential. But I firmly believe that we have One Battle After Another being trailed right by Sinners and Hamnet in a very distant third.
I will say about this March thing, I think we are consistently seeing now, since the pandemic, more movies being released earlier in the year that have won Best Picture or have been in conversation a lot longer and have stayed. Coda,
Mhm.
Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Mhm.
and obviously Sinners now.
Mhm.
And I think you're starting to see this happen more and more. And I'm going to predict one right now. Project Hail Mary this year.
Mm.
I think Project Hail Mary is going to do really well, and that comes out in March.
Well,
and Scott,
Phil
all
Lord and Chris Miller, they don't miss, and Ryan Gosling, and from a story that's based on the author of The Martian, and that book's even better than The Martian. So I
The Martian
really think it's
famously snubbed for Best Director.
yes, but I mean, and that was the last time Ridley Scott was good. So
Well, y'all know that books are the true love of my life, and I just finished the Project Hail Mary audiobook this past weekend, and it was incredible. Highly recommend it. And Scott, all those films that you mentioned, in addition to coming out early, they also heavily overperformed at the Oscars. So I think when they really like a film, they just are gonna keep awarding it. I mean, no one was really predicting, well, I wasn't, that Sean Baker really was going to go 4 for 4 last year, and he did. So I think we would like to think that they're going to spread the wealth in March, and I don't have that much hope that they actually will.
yeah, and you got to remember, Nora actually technically came out and started getting buzz in May, and same with Amelia Perez was also in May.
yeah.
Mm.
So the films coming out the last minute, I think, have been good for getting nominations. I think they've been like complete unknown, kind of like getting in there and getting nominations. But very rarely are we seeing at least in the recent years, a lot of them turning into wins in major categories.
Well,
So
I haven't even had a chance to go through and look and see how many interviews we already have with Oscar nominees, but I know it's so many. We have a brand new interview with Jerskin Fendrix that just ran last night, our Vugonia composer, so we can check that. That's new to the world, and a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm thrilled to dive back in and revisit a lot of these as we see BAFTA nominees. We have a few Writers Guild nominees, even though half the movies are always ineligible. A lot of stuff still coming out, and look forward to revisiting a lot with all of you. And we'll be sharing our interviews the next weeks. I guess it's like 6 weeks or so. To close us out, I would love to hear from each of you the nominee you are most rooting for to win, even if you think there's no shot in hell.
ooh.
Who's going first? I'll say it. Jessie Buckley, baby.
Dang, can we only choose one, Abe? Because I definitely want to say Tiana Taylor, Delroy Lindo, and Emma Stone.
I'll say Tiana as well. And speaking of recommendations, one of my favorite movies from a couple years ago was 1001. I think she should have been nominated for that film, an incredible film from a young Black filmmaker. So if you're looking for more recommendations, watch that. And I hope she takes it home, and I think she will.
I'm gonna say Delroy Lindo.
I'm going to say Ryan Coogler for director.
Of course, I will be the one that choose three people.
Well, I'm gonna go with multiple. I don't know. I would really be thrilled to see Wunmi Masaku. I think that would be really, really exciting. I'd also be really excited to see Michael B. Jordan. But there's also like The Perfect Neighbor would be a great win for documentary, Mr. Nobody Against Putin. So I'm literally choosing people who are nominated against each other. So obviously I'm hoping to be happy in a lot of things. And I think it would be really fun for Jane Austen's period drama to win for Best Live Action Short Film. And I think after all of you see that, you will understand why. So there's a lot of great nominees here. I am so happy everyone came today. It's great to have our whole team here. I'm Abe Friedtanzer.
I'm Latasha Ford.
I'm Rasha Goel.
I'm Sari Cohen.
I'm Scott Menzel.
And I'm Shadan Larki.
Thanks so much for being with us today.
See you next time.